Ladies and gentlemen, hello, my name is Helen Campbell and I used to be a staff member of the SCIC and I retired a few years ago. And here I am back to talk to you today. And my subject is going to be a very simple one, walking. And I'm going to start now. Now, I'm just back from a holiday in Italy. I spent 5 days there, touring around the hills outside Rome with 11 others in the group, all from France. We were there to visit gardens and visit castles, and it was all very interesting. There were interesting stories, the histories of these castles, and who owned them. Popes and dukes and cardinals and princes, of course, and many stories of murder and mayhem and skullduggery, corruption and power struggles. I thought, well, not much has changed really in Italy, or anywhere else for that matter. But yes, the gardens. The gardens, of course, being Italian, were of the geometric variety. Very beautiful to see as well. And usually the gardens were below the castle or the palace of the owner. The idea being, and we're talking here about the 16th century most of the time, the idea being that the owner would be in the castle at the top and that there would be a beautiful view of these lovely gardens below, and everyone would realize how influential and important the owner was, be it duke or cardinal. So that meant we would go up and visit the palaces and the castles, and that meant walking a great deal, up many, many stone stairs and down again, jolly tiring. Actually, we were averaging something like 8 to 10 kilometers every day, and the average age of the people in the group was mine, as you can see, not terribly young. So, a lot of walking. And therefore I was rather interested to read about a study done recently about exactly that, how people walk, the way in which they walk, and what it all implies. People walk differently, for instance, if they're alone or in groups. They walk differently if they're with children. And studies of these different ways of walking have been looked at in several different countries. Some of the results are rather fascinating too. How we move doesn't just depend on the biomechanics or the physiology or our age or our size. In fact, walking is, mechanically speaking, quite complicated, which we probably don't realize. Most of us have a pace at which we are comfortable, where we are biologically most efficient and using least energy. But these studies show that people rarely do move at their ideal efficient pace, sometimes because there are impediments on the way, crowds of people. Me in Rome last week, for a start, trying to walk down a busy street with masses and masses of people slowing me down. However, even on an empty path, people often go more slowly, in some cases also more quickly, than their ideal. Now, these studies that were done in the United States and in Europe have shown some rather interesting results. So much so that the researchers wondered if there were perhaps other aspects to do with walking, cultural significance as well. And so they carried out a project. The project covered 2 cities, one in the United States, Seattle, and the other in Uganda, Mukano. In each case, the researchers found a local pathway that was near a major market center. Then they identified markers on the way, like street signs, set at about 10 meters apart. They then timed people, 1,700 people in all, walking through the marked-off section. Identified those people then by the checklist which they had, the checklist covering what gender, approximate age, whether someone was carrying loads or not, and so on. Interesting results too. In Uganda, people walked faster than in Seattle when they were alone, 11% faster than lone walkers in the United States. But in Uganda, they were slower when they were in groups. They would stroll at a leisurely pace when they were with others. And the opposite is true in Seattle. There, people were speeding up when they were with others, and if there were children along, even faster. In fact, the average speed of walking with children was 20% faster than when adults were alone. What about some possible conclusions to this? Well, we might assume that in Uganda, people use their time walking in groups to socialize, to bond, to chat to people. Whereas in the US, especially where children are present, it's all a bit of a chore, something that should be got over as quickly as possible, so people hurry. Another interesting point here: men are very competitive when they are with other men, walking with other men in the United States, but not at all in Uganda. Interesting results, don't you agree? It shows us all that walking is not as simple as we thought. So perhaps the next time you go for a stroll, you might remember these things. Thank you.